Uh, it's gonna be a trip.
All right. Oh, we're live now.
Okie doke. So, uh, what's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Weekend Dojo here on Sunday night. And tonight we're going to be talking about TokuCHATsu, which is first time in a while for us.
Mm-hmm.
And tonight, I believe you wanted to start the first half because recently, this weekend, the first episode of Power Rangers Beast Morphers was released.
Yes. And I got nothing but positivity for it.
Yeah?
Really.
Sorry.
All right, so Power Rangers Beast Morphers. This was the season that was either going to make it or break it for a lot of fans because it's the first season done by Hasbro, and a lot of people were already skeptical with how they were going to do things simply because Power Rangers has been complete dog shit for 9 years now. However long since RPM had ended. And we haven't really had a good season. Dino Charge technically wasn't even really a good season. People only give it credit simply because it was the best of the bunch, but that wasn't really saying much.
Yeah.
And a lot of the issues wasn't with the characters per se, except Megaforce. The Red Ranger was horrible, but it was more with the writing and how the attitude the writers had with the production of the show and who they wanted to target this at.
Yeah.
Saban had owned full ownership. They didn't give two craps about the fandom, and it was stuck strictly to a 5-year-old demographic intention.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part about it. And I feel that's just because after a while they figured that their show would always sell.
Uh-huh.
And I think throughout this they realized that there's only so much an audience is going to tolerate before they just stop caring.
Right. And yeah, so finally Saban said, I can't do anything with this anymore. Instead of just trying to get a creative team, he thought it was more financially better for him to just sell it off.
Yeah.
Honestly, I really do think the whole reason he sold it to Hasbro was pure money driven, because then he wouldn't have to pay a team to put effort into writing.
That's probably, I imagine that's half of it, and the other half is probably just him realizing that he probably, under his eyes, he assumed it was a dead horse that couldn't be revived, and I think that's what happens when you get too successful.
Mm-hmm.
Is you start, assuming that, hey, maybe this just isn't popular anymore, and you don't stop to think maybe there's something I can do to make it better.
Mm-hmm. Because Haim Saban has proven time and time again the issue is his sheer laziness or his sheer unwillingness to put money out to make it a good content. If you notice, all the money for the Power Rangers movie didn't come at all out of his pocket. That came out of Lionsgate, and he profited off of it. Hasbro, none of that came out of his wallet. That came out of Hasbro, and then he's profiting off of it still by name.
Yeah.
Literally, this guy has put zero effort into the brand other than talking about it since he's acquired it from Disney.
Yeah, before then, he had a good idea, which actually, believe it or not, was Stan Lee's idea first.
Of course.
But, he brought it over here.
I don't really like Haim Saban. He stole an idea Stan Lee made public since that was pretty public, at least if you're well informed in geek culture, since the 70s. They've even brought over Sentai a few times. So this guy has made his whole career off of ripping people off, and hasn't paid for it yet.
Yeah, but you know what? he did one good thing right. He got the Power Rangers over here.
Mm-hmm.
And without Power Rangers, me and Kenny probably wouldn't have discovered some of our favorite series to watch.
Of course.
However, I am happy to see it pass from his hands
Of course.
now.
Yes.
I was going through this rut, and I have not seen it yet, so I do hope that Beast Morphers is good.
It is.
And what I gotta say is, I can only hope that Hasbro treats it like the franchise it deserves to be.
Like they're doing with Transformers.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Bay films aren't really Hasbro's fault.
No, that's not Hasbro. That's just Michael Bay going whatever fucking direction he wants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, Hasbro looks like they have a really tight hold on Power Rangers and trying to take it with the utmost care. Before we get into the Beast Morphers, let me do a lead up to it. Essentially, Hasbro had stated multiple times throughout interviews and everything over the past year that they low key said it, but they were pretty much saying it that Saban sucks. They don't know how to write. They hire terrible actors, and they don't give a crap about their own brand. So they are going to make it better. And now, they don't just make it better. This whole episode had several hundred times more lure than the past 8 years of Power Rangers in one get-go. Not just that, they went as far as to think about diversity in this, and literally most of the lead casts are some form of POC. There's literally only like maybe 2 noticeable white people in there.
Awesome. So
since the Yellow Ranger is probably the only white girl in there, and then they have the guy who turned. They have one of the guy who's originally going to be the Red Ranger, but he was corrupted by the system that when they were doing the Morphin Grid tapping in, and he becomes a Dark Ranger.
Okay, so they're going to keep that suit for a while then. And okay, so tell me this, because of their focus on diversity, does it feel at all tokeny?
No.
Awesome. So we're already moving past that gotta have these elements phase, and we're actually moving into tasteful integration.
Mm-hmm. Literally,
which, by the way, it should have been done this way for a long ass time.
The thing about the thing about it, I will go over it as I describe the plot, but it's all natural. Here, actually, I'm gonna go into the plot now. So the show opens up with the mayor of the city and his son, who are off to the what was it called? I gotta find out what the name of it. I had a screenshot. They used the GB and Go Busters logo, and then gave it a fancy name. I just gotta find the emblem because I had saved it. Grid Battle Force.
Now that works well for the whole talking about what's going on with the morphing grid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Carl Harbor is the city or town that they are in.
Kind of like Angel Grove.
Mm-hmm. Or Mariner Bay. All right, but basically the whole sense of this is Grid Battle Force is a military organization of scientists who are developing a new team of Power Rangers that can be their new sense of defense. And how they explain it is over the past 26 years, over the multiverse, that they've tapped into the multiverse somehow to figure this out. And essentially, monsters from and they quote Rita, Galvanax, Sledge, and a few others in this, and saying have tried time and time again to steal the Rangers' powers and have complete domination over Earth. And essentially, they had tried tapping into the Morphin Grid from using some past Power Rangers technology. They don't specify, but it's implied. They to create new Power Rangers. So the mayor is there because he's been called into a conference with one of the heads, the head director, who this is where the diversity plays in. The mayor is black. The director is Hispanic, an elderly woman, and her son is the Blue Ranger.
Okay, that's nice. And hopefully, you know, this is a pattern going forward.
I think they're playing on that, yeah. Now, with it, the plot is basically something went wrong when they were trying to tamper in, and this virus or something like that. I can't remember the name of it. I have to rewatch it again. But basically, it got in, and when the mayor's son was walking around, sniffing around because he got curious, he was caught right as he noticed something getting into the computer system, and he tried to warn them. They wouldn't listen. And right as they were doing the computer tapping to get 3 candidates selected to be the Power Rangers, connected to the Morphin grid, the glitch went through, and 2 of the main villain's henchmen had gotten out. One took over who would have been their first choice of the Red Ranger, and then except took his full body, and then the other one, which was like one of the female henchmen, got through the yellow one and then escaped out of her body, leaving her behind. So we have the Yellow Ranger still, but the Red Ranger is now the Dark Ranger, who's been taken under control by the new villain.
Now this is going to be
essentially Venjix. He's basically Venjix.
So now, for those of you who haven't seen Ghostbusters, the equivalent of this Dark Red Ranger only actually existed for a few episodes in the original show, and was controlled by a man named Enter.
Right.
And so it's going to be interesting, because this means that we're going to have to see Hasbro design a Dark Morpher for this guy. Now, I'm excited to see what that's going to look like.
Oh, they've gone full on just in one episode so far. And so they have a small fight, then they are to give us a taste of what's going to happen for the next year. And then after that, things are good for a bit, and then the commander, who is Blue Ranger's mother, informs them on what just happened and all that, and how they're the new Power Rangers, and they can't reveal their identity to anyone. So new Red Ranger, who came in, can't tell his father, the mayor, that he's a Power Ranger.
Okay, it's gonna be one of those seasons.
So I'm curious how he's gonna get around being a Ranger without his dad knowing.
That is gonna be tricky, considering that this whole battle force seems to be tied into the local government.
But what I like about this is the Red Ranger starts out as an irresponsible prick, kind of like what's his name from SPD? Yeah, and his dad is, in the opening, it just is him telling how he needs to be more responsible and take things more seriously, and then he's just all shrug, emo me, kind of for a bit.
Are you proud of me now, Dad?
Hey, that's not overdone. That may be overdone, but in this case, it has potential to work.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see. And I think it is kind of interesting
they didn't rush to a Megazord battle.
That I'm excited about.
Yeah, there wasn't a Megazord battle in this. They haven't even used their Zords at all yet or introduced them.
And I'm okay with that, because honestly, the Zords irritate me. Because I watched Ghostbusters. I didn't like them then.
I like this to make you like
design.
them.
I like the suit design, I like the gadgets, but the Megazord is supposed to be like one of the flagship toys of the series, and they're always so. Go Busters is just so parts for me.
This one may work. This one may change your mind. Or this version.
Is it a different version from what's in Go Busters?
Hold on, let me check. I thought it was. Beast, Morphers, Megazord, Go Busters, Mech. Images. This is the Beast X Megazord.
It's the same one.
Okay. I wouldn't know. I haven't watched Go Busters enough. This is the American toy.
Yep, same problem.
All right.
I'm sorry, but when you have to take a single unit and split it into 3 different parts just so it fits cohesively as a single unit with 2 others, you're kind of missing the point. Yeah, and I believe we talked about this when we talked about the toy releases, and I still don't. I get that releasing them individually gets you better paint jobs, but like the only reason I would buy the rabbit is if I had the other 2. And so what you're essentially getting is you're going to get sales for the rabbit dropping.
Oh. And you said you really like the rabbit, right?
No. The rabbit's like my least favorite anyway.
Oh.
Because it looks nothing like a humanoid robot. It doesn't. It does like the rabbit and the vehicle mode.
Wait, what? Is this real?
I don't know.
Power Rangers Transformers collaboration announced.
I had heard something about it, but I'm skeptical as of yet.
Hold on, let me go to TokuCHATsu News Network.
Let's not jump right on this. Let's save this for like another stream, I think.
Okay.
So moving forward, you tagged this video, right?
Not yet. I will afterwards. Also, this is official, though. I just want to show this real quick. They do have official pics shown.
That'll be interesting.
Now I'm waiting for the IDW comics.
What's going to be really interesting to me is how Hasbro is going to have to work with one of its longtime competitors.
I think, actually, no. From what I get, Takara is doing it, based on this article.
Well, Takara is Hasbro's longtime partner in Japan. However, Takara and Bandai are competitive companies. They're competing against each other.
Okay. Well, the thing is, all Power Rangers products are under Takara now in Japanese release.
Yes, but now I want to clarify something because. So what I'm trying to clarify here is that, okay, people don't just come up with the writers don't come up with the motif for the Sentai anymore. Okay, it's entirely designed by Bandai, and then the writers write around that.
Right.
So what you've got here is Hasbro owning a license to a property that is essentially designed and owned by their competitor, but to release it here in the West.
Yep.
And so that is going to have to force some cooperation that I'm not sure how it's going to go down because of the whole Jetfire incident.
Yep, I remember that.
So who knows? There's going to be some interesting licensing deals going down about this.
I'm already excited for the Transformers crossover event.
They were going to do it eventually. They've been crossing over everything. I mean, there's a Ghostbusters Transformers crossover.
I'm excited for that. You know, that's the IDW comics, by the way. So I'm expecting an IDW comic crossover with Boom, assuming Boom still holds the rights.
Assuming, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything from Boom in a good long while.
They're still doing stuff. I just don't follow them anymore, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I read Vertigo and Image and stuff, but
I don't know, Power Rangers is really good. I just haven't had any motivation to read it for some odd reason.
yeah. So I guess moving forward from that, let's talk a little bit about, what this show, or rather, how this show set itself up. So, did they have the equivalent of the buddy roids yet?
No.
Okay, they might be skipping that element.
They're going to have those in it, though.
Okay. So we've got that to look
the intro.
So we've got that to look forward to. Hopefully they're not as annoying in the American version. Let's see. Other elements to look forward to. So in Go Busters, it was about a battle for energy. There's something they called Energon. Yes, like Transformers. Anyway,
they're gonna. I bet you they're gonna use that name in there.
Anyway, so that was the focus.
I bet you they're gonna use the name Energon in Beast Morphers somehow.
Maybe. So assuming that that's going to be the focus of the villain, is going to be energy to get out of wherever they're trapped.
Right.
That's going to be the focus of the majority of the Megazord fights. Because that's typically the only time the enemy deployed the giant monsters in the Japanese version. And you have to adapt from something.
I really, I know, this is just me unrealistically wishfully thinking, but you remember Superhero Tyson when Kamen Rider Fourze teamed up with Go Busters for a bit?
Did they?
Yeah. Can we somehow get some excuse to get get Fourze's suit used in Beast Morphers? Even if it's just a joke episode with a character who's like a wannabe hero who stole tech from Grid Force or whatever.
I think how it's gonna
works.
The aesthetic works, but again, it's like you can't just do especially with Hasbro wanting to start off on a strong foot, you can't just do a throwaway joke episode.
Right.
Because there's trying to please the fans by creating a good product, and then there's just pandering.
Yeah, putting Fourze in there would just be pandering.
So, and again, it's about there's huge licensing issues with it.
If Kamen Rider ever gets brought to the US through Hasbro, Fourze is the one to start with, I'd say.
Maybe. Like I said, there's going to be some interesting licensing issues. Because, again, Bandai and Hasbro don't really have the best history together.
Have you done any research into this recently to see what their current stance on each other is?
As far as I'm aware, Bandai is more or less ignoring that this is happening.
Okay.
So, like, they understand, because as I understand it, Hasbro did not buy the license from Bandai. They bought the license from Saban, and Bandai has to honor that license.
Yep.
So, I'm hoping things don't get, like, petty.
I'm going to look it up right now. Hasbro Power Rangers controversy.
Because I've not heard anything about it.
Well, actually, from what I'm getting here, it looks like Bandai America willingly gave it up gave up the Power Rangers license to Hasbro. As in, if a Power Rangers season gets brought to the US, then by legal definition, Hasbro can do whatever they want with it, as long as it's an American named.
And that is true. However, and I keep stressing this, is that Bandai Japan.
Leave by 7:30 at the latest.
Okay.
That Bandai Japan is the one that designs all of the gadgets and gizmos and motifs and costumes,
Right.
essentially, for these shows in Japan before they get brought over.
Right.
And so you've got essentially got a disconnect here. A really weird, and I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know how this works, but there's a really weird gap that I don't know is how it's getting filled. Because normally it was just Bandai Japan communicating directly to its child company, Bandai America. But now they have to go to a competitor that is an affiliate company of their longtime competitor in Japan. So now Bandai of Japan is going to have to work together with Takara, and honestly, it would probably be easier if there was a merger, but there's still those legal issues they had in the past, and I just don't know how it would work out.
Right. They could just be forgiving at some point soon.
They could be forgiving. It's going to depend on the semantics of it, I think.
Right.
Because it can come down to just semantics.
Wasn't the whole Jetfire thing just like a miscommunication, a mistake though? Because like the Macross jet just ended up in their box and they weren't even aware.
Essentially, how it had worked out is that Bandai, Hasbro had a short-term license for Jetfire for the Valkyrie mold from Bandai. But as soon as Robotech started airing in America, Jetfire had to make an appearance on screen and looked like a Valkyrie. And so Bandai was like, "Oh shit."
Okay.
We promised the same thing to two different. Okay, listen, asshole. Robotech is our baby, so you're gonna fucking so you're gonna fucking change his face, change his name, and you're gonna sell him as a different toy. But then Hasbro was kind of cheeky about it and said, "Okay, but we're including a Gerwalk mode in every single toy release. We're not gonna tell you how to do it, but it's gonna be there."
Wait, they're gonna include a what mode?
Gerwalk mode.
Oh, okay. So basically, they got sneaky and didn't change anything.
They changed enough, but they always kind of secretly work a way in that you can get a Gerwalk out of it.
Oh, they were really desperate to get that Gerwalk in there, huh?
They weren't desperate. It was kind of a little tongue-in-cheek, haha thing.
Oh, okay.
Anywho, moving forward from Beast Morphers for a bit, as long as we're on the subject of TokuCHATsu. So I have been catching up with ZO.
Okay.
And I'm just about caught up. And I gotta say, okay, I liked Deno because Deno kept the time travel shenanigans to a minimum.
Right.
ZO just said, how can we create tension and drama? I've got this little shaker can that says time paradox on it. Let's just take the cap off and dump it all over. Because we've got Kamen Rider Gaze and Zeo who can turn into riders from the past. And then we've got Kamen Rider Waz, who isn't the Waz that's like the royal advisor to Zeo, but rather he's an alternate Waz who follows Kamen Rider Gaze from a different timeline in the future, or from an alternate future where Gaze actually defeated Zeo, and so Kamen Rider Waz can turn into the riders that haven't or that could potentially happen, which is the same thing as saying, hey, these riders might not exist in future seasons. So they're just making shit up to throw it away. And the main focus for the most recent episode was Kamen Rider Kikai, who was very clearly a reference to Kikaider.
Wow.
Like
also,
movements and
I heard Decade showed up, did some stuff, and left.
That's about all he did. Hold on. He showed up, and well, I think I'm okay with the slot that Toei has shoved him into recently, because I never liked him as a character, and so we've just kind of decided that he fits in the slot where he's an asshole.
Yeah.
He shows up, gives Sogo the goddamn Decade watch, then says, I'm going to kill you now, use that watch to stop me. So he's essentially handing the guy he's going to kill more power.
Yeah.
And of course, he only used that for a few episodes, because then he got the ZO2 watch, which I'm sorry, I'm smacking my mic here. Which is sort of an upgrade to his base state.
Also, isn't Neo to Zio's decade mode look like he has an iPad on his face?
That seems to me to be a reference to Ganba Rider.
I figured.
The Ganba Rising machines.
Mm-hmm.
That's my best guess because I can't explain it otherwise.
Okay.
And it's just wicked confusing. And so I think it was cool that they did the Kiter reference.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand why they made him gold instead of red and blue, because they already had the build armor and they didn't want to make it more confusing.
Mm-hmm.
But why did there have to be a Kikaider reference? They keep making references too. Like literally, if you watch the show, look in the background. It's a game of spot this prop from the show it's referencing.
Let me guess. This is Ultraman, but more low key.
More like, okay, so do you remember Dan Kuroto from X-Aid?
Yes.
They give him the power of they give him the power of another O's.
They do?
Yeah, because he had the desire to be a king. And they even recognize that he was supposed to be Kamen Rider Genmu because the Genmu watch pops out of him. And it was a one-episode thing. They never use it again. But you see in the background, creepy little fucking doll that the scientist from O's had sitting on his arm all the time, shoved between two binders in Dan's office. And I'm like, this is... Oh, hi, Christian. Sorry, I rant here. So it's like a game of spot the props. Damn. And I spend more time watching the background of the show than I am watching the actual show because I'm afraid I'm going to fucking miss something. Something vitally important that is going to be needed later on for me to understand this shit.
And let me guess, it's just references.
And it's just reference. It's mindless little references. And like Woz, the original Woz, not White Woz, because they made that distinction, seems to reference like certain things from the shows, and it's... Ow. My head hurts. Okay, bottom line is, if you're watching Kamen Rider ZO, you cannot go... sorry, Kristen, we don't do special guests very often anymore, unless we plan far ahead in advance.
Yeah.
So...
If you ever want to suggest, we could try.
And I know you seem like a cool guy, but we can't just bring people in from the audience.
Yeah.
We have to keep this kind of structured.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're watching ZO, it is one of those shows where it demands that you do your homework. You can't just watch this as your first season.
Right.
Because there isn't enough. They expect you to know the lore going in.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, everything in the show would be lost on you. And, well, like I said, with the Kamen Rider O's episode. And then what else is there? There's, right up until they started getting into the weird riders from alternate futures. Excuse me for a second. I believe Kamen Rider Build, they had some stuff hanging around in the background. And so what's infuriating is that they never do anything. They just kind of say that Decade exists with...
That was me.
Yeah, okay.
I know him from Amino.
So... So, they never really do anything to say that Decade's story never happened. They just kind of ignore it, which maybe by and large is the best way to go about it. But what has intrigued me thus far is we are halfway through the series, and we have not confronted the other legitimate time-traveling writer in the series.
Decade or Deno.
Deno, Zio, they're practically spelled the
I
same.
heard I thought it came in the movie. Did the movie not come out yet?
I've not heard anything about a movie coming out yet.
The Ultimate Rider or Heisei Final.
Oh, that'll probably be after the end of the series.
Hold on.
I haven't seen anything about the movie coming out yet.
Heisei Final Kamen Rider movie. Let me check. Xade. And a Kamen Rider ZO movie. Let's see. I'm trying to find it. Okay, Heisei Generations Forever, is it? Because I remember Deno was in it. I saw a trailer that had him in the crowd. We'll see. When does it come out? When did it release? The first trailer for the film was revealed in November and premiered in Japan in theaters December 22nd of 2018.
Okay. I guess what I'm saying though is like we haven't confronted him in series yet because the movies are not necessarily canon.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And so what you've and now that's kind of because I think if you were to introduce him, maybe they're avoiding him on purpose because if you introduce another writer with the ability to time travel through timelines as he sees fit, you throw a whole nother fucking monkey wrench in that machine.
But basically, Toros is purely Deno now, right?
He is Deno's sword. The Taros brothers are Deno collectively.
Yeah. How do they? So do they each transform into a form of Deno now?
They tend to steal the belt. Yes.
Right. That's what I thought. Because that's what they basically did that because Ryutaro had to leave because the actor Ryutaro had to leave and he wasn't going to come back. So
we've got new Deno now, who's a little disappointing.
I thought it would the whole how they do that now is just the Imagines share the belt.
Yeah, the Imagines share the belt, and they are Deno, but the only human riders we get are New Deno and Sakurai, who is Zeronos.
Right.
And
I gotta now the Imagines just travel across time in the train and share the belt and go on missions still. Essentially.
Share the belt being objective. It depends on who grabs it first.
Yeah, pretty much.
But like I was saying, having another set of time-traveling riders thrown into this mix would really kind of fuck up the direction this story is headed.
I really, I hope I honestly, I have a prediction. You know how loved the Taros brothers are, right?
They're like they're practically a Sentai.
Yeah. I think they are saving them for the final. Or somewhere near the final arc.
They would have to, I think, because let's face it, Deno is kind of despite being my favorite rider, is overpowered. I mean, does he fuck up? Well, he's gonna jump in a deadliner, go back a few days, try again.
Who's your favorite Imagine?
Ooh, my favorite Imagine. That's a big question.
Mine's obvious.
Like, I want to say Momotaro, but that seems too obvious. Oh. Deneb, probably, actually. I think Deneb would be my favorite Imagine.
See, I like Momotaro because he's a fuck up.
He's kind of a goofball.
Did you watch Superhero Tyson Z? Or not Z, the one with Xade?
Not that one.
Yeah, okay. So he is in that one, and basically Emu has to choose a rider team, a rider dream team. And how it goes is it's a lottery slot machine, and you push the button and it's scrolling, and as they stop, it stops on Momotaro, and then he pulls himself out of the slot image and starts talking. He starts talking to Emu, telling him how he's a good choice and how he should be on his rider team for the battle royale.
That sounds like him.
And so he does a full Three Stooges type sly talk thing.
Yeah, and well, you gotta love the demon what plays the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just say I have a lot of respect for the actors who play the Imagine, because those suits give me the same vibes that the 90s Power Rangers movie gave me from their suits.
Mm-hmm.
Chafing and sweating, but they managed to remain so expressive. And that's something I think ZO could desperately use. Because it's like the actors are all, this is probably as much the director's fault, are all just like, stay very still to imply seriousness. It's like, someone throw a fucking pie. Slip on a banana peel, something. You good?
Sorry about that. I got a text that was important. I had to respond to it.
Okay, doke.
Yeah. Anyways, it's about time to wrap up anyways.
Yeah, we only got 10 minutes anyhow. So, thank you all so much for watching. I'm going to try to stay up to date on Zeo.
All right. And I'm going to be up to date on Beast Morphers.
And we'll be back sometime next week.
Yeah, I think Sunday.
Yep, Sunday like this week. Okay. We'll try to see you then.
Yep. Talk to you later. Stay more phenomenal, everybody.
See you later, Weekend Warriors.